What's up, inhabitants of Penguin Village? This is your resident Dr. Senbei Norimaki, otherwise known as Dr. Slump, and I'm here to bring you another video review of Dragon Ball Kai. This time it's going to be episode 103. Well, we finally got to see some action in this episode. The Goten versus Trunks fight. The long-awaited Goten versus Trunks fight. Yeah, so we continue from where we left off, where Vegeta has destroyed the punch machine, and everybody is still in awe, including Videl, who inquires to Gohan, like, aren't you impressed? Because Gohan is like, yeah, well, when's the next punch machine coming out? And Videl's like, aren't you impressed? I mean, these guys placed in the high 200s, and this guy just broke the machine, and you're not impressed? And he's like, yeah, I am impressed. And Goku comes over in the middle of this conversation where he's like, oh, so this is your friend Gohan. Oh, okay. And Krillin's like, oh, this is your friend Gohan. Ha ha! You done pretty well this time, huh, kid? And Gohan and Goku continue to talk after this little brief remark on Vitello's appearance. And Goku is like, well, we're going to see the Junior Division kids fight. And Gohan's like, yeah, okay, see you there. And Videl is like, you know those guys? And Gohan's like, yep, the guy in the orange gi is my father. And she's like, your father? And he said, yep, when I said he was dead, he's really dead. That's what the halo is for. And Videl is like, who are you guys? So we get into the next scene where the tournament announcer is basically announcing the prizes for the junior division, and one of those prizes is an extra special grand prize where he where one of the kid who wins the tournament gets to fight Mr. Satan. They get to fight Mr. Satan, and Mr. Satan comes out there like, yeah, and he starts to just slip and slide all over the ring, starts to make a fool of himself, and while those shenanigans are going on outside the ring, Goten and Trunks are talking about what they would do with the prize money, and while they're conversing over this, two kids start to come over and bully them, and Trunks starts to like make some nippy remarks like, "Yeah, you're tough talk, you idiot. You're just a weakling." And the tall kid with the blonde hair, basically with the mullet, he's like, "Yeah, well, I'll show you a thing or two when we get into the ring." And the tournament announcer, the next scene we get into, the tournament announcer starts to showcase the kids, and he starts to showcase them as the participants for the junior division, and they basically say, let the games begin. The tournament starts, and Trunks, before we know it, Trunks fights the kid that was bullying him, and he makes quick work of this kid. I mean, he absolutely demolishes him, just trips him and kicks him up in the air, and he falls flat on his face. And Trunks leaves like, maybe I overdid it, but I was trying to prove a point. Just like Vegeta, man, just like Vegeta. And before we know it, again, extremely fast paced in this episode. Again, we get into the Goten versus the guy who Trunks just fought, his brother. His brother fights Goten, and Goten obviously wins this fight with ease, punches him on the chin, and it's over. So that was pretty much the extent of what we got to see before we got to see Goten and Trunks fight. So after that, we get into the narrator saying, and so it happened that the two tykes destroyed all of the other participants until there were only two left, Goten versus Trunks. And Goten and Trunks start going in the ring, and there's like, you ready? Because I'm ready. And they start going at it, and everybody in the audience is awestruck by their power. And we get to see that Hercule is watching them as well. Hercule said, let me check these guys out. And Hercule's awestruck too. And he's like, I've got to fight one of these kids? Oh my God. And we got to see that beautiful reaction. And we get to go back into the fight where Goten and Trunks are showcasing their new ki abilities, where they're firing beams at each other, and we get to see that Goten doesn't have as much control as Trunks does, because Trunks is able to freely manipulate the ki as he pleases. Goten, however, is not. So yeah, we get to see that from them, and Goten and Trunks continue to fight, and they start grappling with each other. and Trunks throws him in the air. And while he does that, he comes behind him and he grabs Goten in a full Nelson, and Goten's trying to get out desperately. So what he does is he makes the idiotic mistake of going Super Saiyan. He goes Super Saiyan, breaks out, and comes back down and returns to normal. And everybody in the audience is awestruck. And Trunks is like, "You idiot! I mean, I cannot believe you did that." And Goten's like, "Yeah, well, I forgot." He's like, "Ah, gosh, I can't believe you, Goten. Ah, well, what's done is done. But now that I think about it, I don't even need but one arm to defeat you." And he's like, "No way, you can't beat me with just one arm." And Trunks is like, "Yeah, I can. I can beat you with one arm easy." And Goten's like, "Okay, let's see what you got." So they commence the fight yet again, and the fight prolongs, and Trunks is obviously losing to Goten. But Goten, during the scuffle, he tries to blast Goten with a ki blast, and Goten goes up in the air, and he's like, "Yeah, we'll see how you take this attack." And he's like, "Banzai!" And he goes down at Trunks, and Trunks is like, "Oh, so you're attacking from a frontal attack, eh? You're probably too stupid to come at me with another strategy. So I'm just gonna dodge this attack and then counter with my own attack." And then Goten comes down at him, and Trunks tries to dodge, but then Goten uses his ki blast to propel him in Trunks' direction. And Trunks is so surprised, and then he turns Super Saiyan, and he basically blasts Goten out of bounds, and that's the end of the fight. And that's the end of the episode. So yeah, that was pretty much all that happened. And next week we are basically going to get in to the Mr. Satan versus Trunks fight. We're going to get into that. So yeah, that was basically the whole episode. I want to thank you guys very much again for watching me this week. Expect another episode next week, and this has been Dr. Slump here to bring you another video review of Dragon Ball Kai. Peace and have a great day.